Before we begin, if you're new here, BlackFrame is your home for in-depth horror movie breakdowns, hidden gems, and everything that goes bump in the night. Our story begins with grainy, low-quality footage dated March 3rd, 2004. We see a young college student named Sophia in her cluttered bedroom. The walls are covered with disturbing images, and immediately you can tell something is very wrong. Sophia is visibly terrified, but here's what's truly unnerving. Her eyes are wide open. She's staring directly into the camera without blinking, not once. Her eyes are bloodshot, watering, but she refuses to close them. She explains that she and her friend Feldman have been terrorized by an entity she calls the Peeping Tom, or the Blinking Man. Now, we jump forward 11 years to 2015. We meet Gavin, a struggling documentary filmmaker who's just moved into a new house with his wife. He's doing what any filmmaker would do, documenting the move with his cameraman, Eric. While exploring the basement of their new home, Gavin discovers something unusual. There's a dusty old box hidden in the corner, and written on it in marker are 3 ominous words: "Do not watch." Now, if you're a filmmaker and you find a mysterious box that says "Don't watch," what are you going to do? Exactly, you're going to watch it. Inside the box are dozens of videotapes, VHS cassettes from 2004. Gavin and Eric pop in the first tape, and we see Sophia's terrifying opening vlog that we just discussed. Gavin is immediately hooked. As he watches more tapes, he becomes fascinated by several things. First, Sophia never blinks throughout any of her footage. Her eyes remain wide open, unblinking, in every single frame. It's physically impossible, yet there it is. Second, the story she tells about the Peeping Tom and the cursed tunnel is compelling. It has all the hallmarks of a great urban legend with possibly real consequences. Third, and most importantly to Gavin as a filmmaker, he sees dollar signs. He thinks this could be his big break, a documentary based on real found footage from 2004 about college students who died under mysterious circumstances after investigating an urban legend. It's basically the Blair Witch Project, but potentially real. Gavin becomes obsessed with the idea of turning this into a film. He'll investigate what happened to Sophia and Feldman, verify if the footage is authentic, and create a documentary about the documentary, a meta-horror based on true events. Eric is skeptical, but goes along with it. He's Gavin's friend and cameraman, so he's there for the ride. But what Gavin doesn't realize, what he can't possibly know yet, is that by watching these tapes, by becoming obsessed with this story, he's already fallen victim to the same curse that killed Sophia and Feldman. The Peeping Tom doesn't just haunt those who perform the ritual, he haunts anyone who watches the footage. That night, Sophia and Feldman decide to test the legend, but they're smart about it. They know they can't stare for an hour without blinking, so they recruit help. They find Sam, who apparently holds the local record for not blinking. He's like a regional champion of staring contests. If anyone can complete the ritual, it's him. At exactly midnight, the three of them arrive at the Ilchester Tunnel. The footage is dark, grainy, and atmospheric. You can feel the tension building as Sam positions himself in front of the tunnel entrance and begins the ritual. Sophia and Feldman film everything, encouraging Sam to keep going. His eyes start watering around minute 5. By minute 10, he's clearly in pain. At minute 14, he can't take it anymore and blinks. 14 minutes. That's as long as even the best can last. They're disappointed, but not surprised. The ritual seems designed to be impossible for humans to complete. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it's just a legend after all. But then Feldman has an idea, a brilliant, terrible idea. What if we use a camera? Think about it. A camera lens works like the human eye. It captures images, processes light, and creates a visual recording. But unlike a human eye, a camera doesn't need to blink. It can record continuously for as long as the battery and tape allow. So, they set up a camera on a tripod, pointed directly at the tunnel entrance, and hit record. Then they wait in their car nearby for 1 full hour, checking their watches obsessively. At exactly the 1-hour mark, they retrieve the camera and head home to review the footage. This is the moment everything goes wrong. When Sophia reviews the tape, she sees something. At first, it's subtle, just a dark shape in the background of the tunnel, but it's there. Something that wasn't visible to the naked eye appears on the recording. She calls Feldman over, and they enhance the footage, increasing the brightness and contrast. And there it is, clear as day, a tall figure in a dark cloak and top hat, standing at the far end of the tunnel. The Peeping Tom is real. They're ecstatic. They've captured actual evidence of a paranormal entity. This documentary is going to be incredible. They've documented something that no one else has ever proven. In their excitement, they completely miss the danger they've put themselves in. The ritual didn't fail. It succeeded. And now the curse has begun.
Sophia and Feldman present their documentary to their faculty advisor, Professor Eva. They're confident, excited, ready to receive praise for their groundbreaking work. But Eva's reaction is not what they expected. Sophia and Feldman are crushed, but they know what they captured was real. They decide to keep investigating, to find more evidence that will prove the Peeping Tom exists. That's when things start getting strange. Feldman begins obsessively reviewing all their footage, going through every tape frame by frame, and he discovers something terrifying. The Peeping Tom appears in multiple recordings that they didn't even notice before. In background shots, in reflections, in dark corners, the figure is there. But why? They haven't been back to the tunnel. What's causing it to advance? Feldman realizes the answer. Every time the camera turns off, the Peeping Tom interprets it as a blink. Think about it. The camera performed the ritual, staring at the tunnel for 1 hour without blinking. But every time they stopped recording, every time the camera shut off, it was like a blink, and with each blink, the curse advanced. When he reviews the footage, his theory is confirmed in the most horrifying way possible. With each blink, the Peeping Tom appears closer and closer in the frame, first in the distance, then a few feet closer, then right in front of the camera. In the final shot, the entity is so close you can see details of its face, and it waves at the camera. Not a friendly wave, a slow, deliberate gesture that says, I see you. I'm coming for you. For a few days, this seems to work. Feldman keeps the camera plugged in and recording constantly, capturing endless hours of mundane footage of his room. But he can't keep this up forever. He has to sleep, has to leave his apartment, has to live his life. And one night, inevitably, the camera runs out of battery. It blinks. When Feldman wakes up and checks the footage, he sees something that makes his blood run cold. During the hours the camera was off, the Peeping Tom appeared in his apartment.
When Sophia arrives at Feldman's apartment to check on him, she finds him in a state of complete psychological breakdown. The apartment is a mess, covered in drawings and notes about the Peeping Tom. Feldman looks like he hasn't slept in days, his eyes red and wild. He tells Sophia that he's calculated how many times the camera has blinked since they started the project, and according to his calculations, one more blink will bring the Peeping Tom directly in front of him. This is it, the final confrontation. Feldman warns Sophia that once he's dead, the curse will transfer to her. She's seen the footage, she's been involved in the project, and the entity will come for her next. Sophia, terrified, takes the tapes and leaves. She doesn't want to be there when it happens. She can't watch her friend die. That night, Feldman's parents install a CCTV camera in his room, worried about his deteriorating mental state. This camera captures his final moments. The footage shows Feldman sitting in front of his cursed camera, staring at it with determination. He's decided he's not going to run, he's not going to hide, he's going to face the Peeping Tom head on. He takes a deep breath and turns off the camera.
After Feldman's death, Sophia's life becomes a waking nightmare. She receives the CCTV footage from Feldman's parents and watches his final moments. Seeing her friend's death, seeing the terror on his face, breaks something inside her. But it gets worse, much worse. Sophia realizes that the curse has evolved. It's no longer tied to just the camera. The Peeping Tom is now connected directly to her eyes. Sophia tries everything to avoid blinking. She uses eye drops constantly. She tapes her eyelids open. She forces herself to stay awake for days at a time, because if she falls asleep, her eyes will close, and that's multiple blinks all at once. Her appearance rapidly deteriorates. Her eyes become bloodshot and swollen. She looks sick, exhausted, like a shell of her former self.
Back in 2015, Gavin has now watched all of Sophia and Feldman's footage. He knows their story, knows how they died, but he doesn't believe in the curse. He thinks there's a rational explanation. To him, this is still just a documentary project, a tragic true crime story about two students who became psychologically affected by their own creation, maybe even staged the whole thing. He shows the footage to his editor friend, Andy, who immediately dismisses the Peeping Tom appearances as cheap special effects. Andy points out that the black and white filter makes it easy to hide editing tricks. In his professional opinion, the haunting is fake. Gavin then tracks down Professor Lake, the same historian who was interviewed in the 2004 footage. Lake is now much older and has no interest in discussing the Peeping Tom or the students' project. When Gavin presses him about whether he believes the footage is real, Lake becomes hostile and kicks him out. During this interview, something strange happens. Gavin starts doodling in his notebook, but he's not drawing random scribbles. He's drawing symbols, strange markings that resemble occult imagery. He doesn't seem to realize he's doing it, like his hand is moving on its own. This is the first sign that the curse has already taken hold of him. Determined to prove the footage is authentic, Gavin creates a website where he uploads clips of the Peeping Tom appearances, letting the internet judge for themselves. He spends thousands of dollars promoting the site, buying radio airtime, sending press releases. He's convinced that once people see the footage, they'll believe it's real, and his documentary will become a huge success. After finding Gavin's body, Andy finally believes. He reviews the footage one more time, and he discovers something that everyone missed. When the Peeping Tom killed Feldman, you can see a reflection in the entity's large eye. Andy enhances this reflection, zooming in frame by frame. What he sees is the Ilchester Tunnel from the perspective of the Peeping Tom. He's seeing through the entity's eye, watching Sophia and Feldman perform their first ritual back in 2004. This confirms everything. The footage isn't faked, the entity is real, and it has been watching them from the very beginning. Andy now understands why Gavin became obsessed, why he couldn't let it go. It wasn't just curiosity, it was the curse. The moment Gavin watched those tapes, the Peeping Tom began hunting him too. Every time he closed his eyes, every time he blinked while thinking about the footage, the entity drew closer. That's why Gavin went to the tunnel, not to prove anything to anyone else, but because he could feel the entity closing in. He knew he was going to die, so he went to face it on his own terms. The film ends with a chilling realization. The curse doesn't just affect those who perform the ritual. It affects anyone who watches the footage. Sophia and Feldman did the ritual. They died. Gavin watched the footage. He died. Andy watched the footage. Eric watched the footage. Everyone involved in the investigation has now seen it. And now, everyone watching this video has seen it too. The curse continues. The final shot of the film is ambiguous. We see static, then a brief flash of the Peeping Tom standing in darkness, watching, waiting. The implication is clear. Once you've seen the footage, once you know about the Peeping Tom, you're marked. And someday, when you blink at just the wrong moment, he'll be there.